Let's see. Oh boy. We are live. Hello and welcome to Talk Chef. I am one of your hosts, Reka.
I'm your other host, Jordan.
And today we have an incredibly special guest. You might recognize him from Top Chef season 15. It's Chef Rogelio Garcia. Oh
hey
my
guys.
God. We are so excited to have you, Rogelio. You're in your restaurant currently?
Yes. I wish this was my house, but no, it's
Yeah, right. Your gorgeous marble house with
Yes,
right.
It is the most beautiful place.
pumpkin.
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
it's I'm at the restaurant now.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So we always gotta ask, you were on Top Chef. Were you a fan of it before?
You know, I think the first memories of me watching at least any TV that's related with cooking shows was Emerald Lagasse.
Yes.
I just remember sitting in the living room, coming from my dishwasher shift, taking off my chef coat that was super wet, and then watching him say "Bam,"
Yeah.
you know. And I just remember those times. But and I think Top Chef came right after that, or they were probably filming, but they weren't as big as seeing Emerald Lagasse. So I do 100% a fan. I wasn't like a geek, I would say, but I was definitely a fan. And somehow I was like, maybe God has this in store for me to compete. I felt it, but I didn't know when it was gonna happen, if it was gonna happen. But I did feel like, you know, I might have a shot to compete.
Hell yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. Do you have a favorite season of Top Chef? Is it yours?
Yours is often season 15.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
is a lot of people's favorites because everyone was just like really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I want to say 15. I mean, but the Vataja Brothers season was amazing as well.
Yeah,
I think
Las Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas was great. I love the Masters, the Top Chef Masters.
Oh, sure,
yeah. Well. And yeah, I mean, I love them. I mean, I think they all have a story to tell, and the way that they do it is amazing. So, but obviously, I gotta be biased here. Season 15.
I get you. Honestly, that's one of my favorite seasons.
Yeah.
So actually, before we dive in, a couple of tiny orders of business for the show. Number one, you guys know this is a food charity-based live stream. So much like last season, we are going to be announcing a charity towards the end of this season and do a big fundraising extravaganza on our last episode. So stay tuned for the finale of season 5 of Talk Chef, which is really
just last season
5 finale of Top Chef.
Oh, yes.
And we will be raising money for a food-based charity. For reference, last season in one evening, we raised, what was it, $1,100?
Yeah, like $1,100 for the Haitian Bridge Alliance, which was awesome. You guys raised so much money. It was absolutely unbelievable. And it was like really fun and stressful and chaotic and beautiful. Yeah. So we decided we were going to do it the exact same way again.
Yeah, we decided to kind of make it even more anxiety-inducing, stressful, upsetting, exciting. It's going to be
scary,
spooky. Yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible. So stay tuned for that. And our second order of business for Helio is something we didn't mention, which is that just like every episode of Top Chef has a Quickfire, so does every episode of Talk Chef, and it doesn't involve cooking.
Awesome.
I always feel the need to immediately say that lest anyone think we actually tricked you. All it is 10 questions, and these are all Rogelio preference-based questions, but you got to answer them in 45 seconds. So I think that's the fastest Top Chef Quickfire in history. Now, just in case you're like, why do I want to do this? Who are these two stupid people? Which you're fully within your right to say.
Sure.
Josie and I are confirmed stupid.
Yeah.
There are some prizes at stake. Number one, you could win a deed to the Terlato Wine Vineyard.
Now, Rogelio, have you ever heard of Terlato Wine?
Wait, are they in Napa?
You know what? That's such a good question. No one knows. Terlato Wine is a wine that sponsored Top Chef for multiple seasons, but it is unpurchasable now by humans. Reka and I have tried to buy it. Almost no one has tried it except a few Top Chef contestants.
And They don't like it.
And they don't like it.
That's
what they don't like it.
It's in the middle of, I don't know, the center of the earth.
Yeah.
The next prize you could win is your own personalized suite of broken GE appliances, just like you see on the show. So we're talking about an oven that doesn't get up to temperature, a fryer that doesn't get up to temperature, a mandolin that slices your hand off. All of that could be yours.
That could be yours.
That could be yours. That's the thing. That could be yours. So, Rogelio, are you ready for your quickfire?
I'm so ready.
Okay. It will start. Your 45 seconds starts when Jordan finishes asking question 1.
Awesome.
Okay. All right. How many ingredients could you name in the soup clam chowder?
4.
What is a must-have food at a wedding?
Cake.
Who is your favorite former Top Chef contestant?
Brother Luck.
What is your favorite ingredient?
Salt.
Where do you want to see a season of Top Chef?
Napa Valley.
What is the best food city?
Mexico City.
What's a food you hate?
Oh my God. Avocados.
Name a food that is blue.
That is what?
Blue.
Blue? You got me on that. Blueberries.
Okay, name one woman who is married.
Kamala Harris.
Oh,
did I make it?
That is so
I have no idea why I said that.
I don't know why. That is so funny.
I love that.
That might be the hardest Jordan and I have ever laughed on this.
Yeah, okay, so Rogelio, I hate to burst your bubble. You did not win, but honestly, biggest laugh we've ever had on the show. So it feels like a win in its own way. I did decide.
I dug into your time by gasping that you don't like avocados. So
you know, I do gotta say that I love avocados. So I don't know why that came out of mine.
That's a panic answer.
I don't know why name a woman. I think it's like you would name like the most powerful woman in America at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know why. But
I have no idea.
Curious. I was curious who you would name or who would name.
Oh
Great.
my
If
God.
I were to say to you, name one married woman, quick, who would you say?
My mom.
Kamala Harris. Okay, your mom. Okay.
Really?
She's married.
Well, all the women that I grew up with were single.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Or I would say my first grade teacher.
Okay.
What would you say?
My impulse, what came out of my mouth when you almost just asked me was Megan Fox. She's not married. That's wrong. She has been married in the past.
Yeah.
So I guess if I had to change my answer, I'm like just can only think of people in relationships. I'm like Holland Taylor.
Yeah. What if I was? Go ahead.
No.
What if I said me to the hustle? Would you kill me?
I'd really have to think about that, Rika. I'd be like, damn. Okay, what a girl.
I might have to kill me. Beautiful. That was incredible. Wow. Let's freaking dive in. First of all, really, before we went live, you said you had a funny story to say about season 5, right? Or something we were talking about.
I did. Yeah. So I was born in Mexico City, right? And migrated to the States when I was 2 years old. And I stayed in Los Angeles till I was 15. So it was my sophomore year. I think I had it had to be March. And so we came to Northern California and I was eager to work. And so the easiest thing was to work in a restaurant, Northern California, or, there was a ton, I mean, there is now, but there was back then a lot of restaurants. And I remember that my first job, my aunt was working at this massive hotel in Yountville. And she tells me if I want to join the team. And I was like, yeah, I'll do it, And so she takes me and I have to speak to the chef, right? and I was very timid. I'm pretty tall, right? But I was like 15, 16, skinny, like very skinny and tall. And here comes this guy that, bald with an accent and says, hey, my name is Stefan Richter. Do you want, I would love to hire you, but I kind of want to see you work. And I was like, okay. I was timid, my first job, never had that experience before. And so I worked and he hired me, and I worked with Stefan for the next year and a half, I would say. And he was the first chef that I ever worked for. And I remember his approach in the kitchen was like a Gordon Ramsay, like very assertive, aggressive, loud, and I kind of, I don't want to say I hated it, but I know that I would love to get your opinion on them. But
wow,
I've never
thank you so much for asking. Well, I was sitting here, I was like, how much can I say? Because as you know, I'm iconically a bitch. I'm kind of rude, but like in a sweet way. But basically, I just don't like when people are rude. And Stefan is very rude. And there's a lot of things he does that are rude. Maybe now he's like an incredible man that like feeds the homeless. I don't know. I don't know him. But in my experience with him on this season, and in other seasons that he's on, he's very weird towards gay women. That's very bizarre to me on the show, both towards Jamie and then Kristen Kish in a future season. He's like he has this weird like fetish for lesbians, which is strange to me.
Yeah.
We're hot, but like leave us alone. And also he's just annoying. He's so rude. His food seems like whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
I hate him.
Arrogant on the show.
Yeah.
I don't know if that is a character he's kind of putting on. It doesn't feel like it, but I would love to be wrong.
Yeah.
Yes,
well,
absolutely.
I was very young, so I don't think I could have captured any of that because everything was very new, right? Like I'm stepping into this like restaurant for the first time, my first job. I had a lot of things going on in high school as well. So, but the funny thing is that eventually I think he left and then I left and then I kept, cooking in the Valley. And then I saw him on TV when he was filming that, but I couldn't contact him, right? I was like, wow, that's so cool. That had to be like 10 years after or maybe like 7 years after I finished like speaking. I knew he had restaurants in Santa Monica, something like that. And then I competed, and then with Facebook, Instagram, then I touched back with him. I think I touched with him on like 2019.
Yeah.
And we, exchanged it. This guy. So I guess he's never changed, probably, because we were texting back and forth. I was like, yo, how you doing? Like, and he's super nice. I think because we go back 20 years. I mean, I was a kid back then. And he's like, oh, Rogelio, like, I was glad to see you on the show and blah, blah, blah. I'm no longer have restaurants in America. I live in Finland now. And he takes and he just kind of films the whole, where he's living. And he's living in a pretty cool spot. Like he's got a creek in front of his house, beautiful home. And, but no, I think he's, I couldn't grasp. I think I was too young to even notice any stuff like that. But he was the first chef I ever worked for. And then after that, I worked for more Top Chef contestants, I would say, on there. But I don't know how that. I mean, the world's so small. Like, it's crazy how that happened.
That's a great story. That's so fitting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Incredible. Yeah, well, yes, jumping into this season with Stefan, we have a quick fire. Identify the most amount of ingredients in a head-to-head challenge. So they basically taste different sauces and compete to see who can identify the most ingredients in the sauce. Now, I'm going to go through, normally we go through like dishes and rank them, but there are no dishes here that they made. So I'll just tell you how it all shook out. Daniel, and round one, they had to identify a shrimp and lobster bouillabaisse. Daniel versus Hosea. Hosea took it. Ariane versus Jeff. Ariane took it. Jamie versus Stefan took it. Eugene versus Leah. Leah took it. Radhika versus Fabio. Radhika took it. Melissa versus Carla took it. Now, if I can air a thought, I don't like this quickfire.
So boring.
It's just a little boring, and I think it's a little more strategy than food. I like palate. I did not, in Rogelio, please weigh in on your thoughts too, but like I like stuff that tests a chef's palate. I think it's really cool to watch a chef that like just can taste the subtle differences between so many things. This felt a little more strategy to me. Like I felt like sometimes someone would say 3 so that the next person would have to say 4 because they knew they could say 5 and they didn't want to start at 5 so that they couldn't whatever. And I find that boring. What did you think of this quickfire?
I mean, it's always, I think it's unique to have. I mean, it kind of really tests your palate, I would say.
Yeah.
You know, because I think somebody got like 7 right. I think was that Hosea? They got 7 right, 6 or 7 right.
Yeah.
Which I thought that's incredible, right? I mean, but you have an idea. I mean, I think one of them was like a lobster, like a Thai lobster sauce, something like that, if I can recall. So you kind of get those flavors already in your mind. Like, okay, like basil, some type of chili, maybe sugar, salt, lemon, you know, so your experience kind of comes into that. But I do think that it's incredible to kind of test the palate in that way because you can do like blind tests as well. And some people may have a hard time with it. So I thought it was incredible, especially Hosea that was able to do that. And I thought it was smart that some people would say vegetable oil, which I was like, that's kind of, you know, like that's kind of a given, or salt.
Salt.
Yes.
Speaking of which, when they get to Thai green curry, we get, you know, Ariane versus Hosea. Hosea wins. Stefan versus Leah. Stefan wins. Radhika versus Carla. Carla wins. And then we get to Mexican mole sauce, and it was Carla versus Stefan versus Hosea. Spelling. I know, and they each had to name one until they couldn't anymore. And like mole probably is the perfect thing to have like endless ingredients.
Right.
I was like, why did you start with salt? Is what I was thinking.
Jordan, I'm just sorry to interrupt. I was going to say, I also thought it was surprising that they let them get away with saying chocolate was in the mole and not specifically what kind, because then later they were like, what kind of oil, or, you know, they were being very,
what kind of basil,
Yes, basil. And they were being really specific about that kind of stuff. And I'm like, mole doesn't just have like chocolate, you know what I mean? It's like very specific. That seems much more specific to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. So that, I found some inconsistencies in the challenge.
Yeah.
It's a little risky. Could you list water as an ingredient?
Probably.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Sorry, Papa, you have to take it.
Wait, Rogelio, so we have to put you to the challenge now. Name the 4 ingredients you said you could name in clam chowder.
Okay. Potato.
Okay, 1.
Celery.
2.
Clams.
3.
Salt.
4. Perfect.
And peanut butter. Beautiful. Hosea ends up winning.
Yeah.
So he gets immunity in the elimination challenge.
Yes. One thing I had to keep reminding myself too is that just because they showed us what kind of sauce it was doesn't mean that they knew what kind of sauce it was. So when they were like, it's a lobster and shrimp bouillabaisse, and they're like, lobster or like shrimp, I'm like, duh, it's in the name.
They can't.
But then I had to be like, I had to be like, they don't know. Or like with mole, I'm like, obviously peanut butter is like not normally in mole, but it's like Carla might not have known that it was mole. So that like makes more sense.
I think if she would have said peanuts, I think she wanted to say peanuts.
Yeah.
But she went peanut butter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man,
I agree.
I often wish things were peanut butter too. Okay, so for the elimination challenge, they have to cater a bridal shower for Gail Simmons and, I don't know, 100 women or something. And the themes of they're divided into teams: something old, something new, something borrowed, and something blue. So there's 3 people on each of those 4 teams. Fun-ish idea for a challenge, I guess. I think the dishes are, pretty forgettable. If I may say, we kind of remarked by the time Top Chef gets to your season, Rogelio, I feel like people are really, really going for it. In the earlier seasons, a lot of these challenges where they're doing team challenges or something, they kind of end up making stuff that looks a little like hotel food or just like they weren't trying to be creative, they're just trying to bang something out. I don't know if that's an unfair characterization, but it was okay. Sean was okay. What'd you guys think?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, no, you're right. I think I was curious that they made that sorbet at the beginning.
Yes.
I think when Stefan said, I've done this too long, it's gonna melt. I think he did have a point there. I did think that 45 people, that it was gonna melt, because they can sit or whatever.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, they love that sorbet. I think.
I was also surprised. I've seen this episode 1,000 times and I forgot that they loved it because I too would have sided with Stefan there. And also said, like, I don't know if I want a savory sorbet to like start a meal.
Yeah. But I felt like it went well because it was almost like an amuse or like refreshing and
totally
probably bright and stuff like that. So
I'm into it. I love sorbet. And a savory sorbet seems right up my alley. So I'm into it. The thing that I thought was funny about this is Gail describing the challenge and her being like, and the ladies that are at my party aren't ladies who order dressing on the side, if you know what I mean. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. They like to eat bread.
Yeah. It's such a weird time. I mean, I guess it's still like that, but just like at that point in time, like the way food was talked about, especially like in relation to like women, I think is so like her having to specify that these women like to eat food, I think is very funny at a dinner.
My friends aren't on a diet during this very fancy dinner.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So here are the courses. For team something old, Jeff need heirloom tomato carpaccio and sorbet. So we tend to give like a thumbs up, thumbs down. I would totally try that. I like, that's my thing. I'm like, I wouldn't make that, but I would try it.
Yeah.
Stefan made heirloom tomato gazpacho with mint watermelon and cucumber salsa.
I guess this sounds good. I love gazpacho.
Yeah.
It's interesting that they made kind of like 3 separate little things and mostly everyone else did like kind of a composed plate.
Yeah. I also think sometimes too, if I may say, sometimes when you take a gazpacho and it's like cold and raw, and then you put a cold and raw salsa on top of the gazpacho, I do feel like that might be a little redundant. I'm not eating it, but you know what I mean? Sometimes when I'm like, or sometimes you'll get like a corn chowder and it'll have like a corn salsa mixture on top, or just like something like that where I'm like, this could have just been in the soup.
Yeah, sure. No,
so that's
I
what I
can
thought
see
about
that.
Yeah.
And Hosea made a tomato, eggplant, and basil terrine.
Sounds great.
Course number 2, something new. Big controversy here. So they all made a tempura sweet shrimp and beef skewer with peach miso barbecue sauce and a yuzu sorbet. And it was sort of a build your own sushi situation. They didn't really disclose it, but there was also some sort of side salad to which Daniel, without Carla's knowledge, added mushrooms.
Yeah.
Now, I don't care and I would eat this. I do think maybe it doesn't fit the challenge of like, we're at a brunch or a lunch where a bunch of people are dressed really fancily. Like, I don't know if like build your own sushi, especially without saying like, here's how like in theory you eat it, works. And I think big no-no to add mushrooms to somebody else's dish.
Yes, absolutely. You can't touch somebody else's dish. That is crazy. As everyone knows, I already think Danny should be put on an island by himself to keep the rest of us safe. So that's something that I think should happen. But I don't know. I feel like I give this a thumbs down, but I do feel like there's a version of this where this works. Like they were very like, oh, like we don't want to build our own thing. But I also think if it had like been good, they would have been fine with it. Do you know what I mean? Or maybe if it was a couple like seasons later, I think they would have been like, oh, this makes sense because it's like a fun, interactive. Like I think that line of thought was good because I think that they could have liked it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Even watching it, I was kind of like, confused a little bit about the whole sushi thing.
Yes.
To
It
me,
is.
but yeah, it was, and they what's his name? Danny,
Yeah.
right? That he's that one that had the mushrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. I wonder if he did that on purpose or he just. I mean, I don't know why he would do that, but maybe it was on purpose. I don't know.
Yeah, it has to be. I mean, it has to be. Even if it's not him trying to sabotage her, it's him saying, "I know better than she does."
It's a lack of respect. Yeah.
Yes, and I also think like Rogelio, like on this season, Danny is really disrespectful to everyone, but especially women in like every single episode. I know it seems like I hate everyone that's competed on Top Chef. We're really just talking about two people.
I didn't work for Danny, so.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, but I love almost everyone, but these two people I just find in general disrespectful, and I thought this made him even more disrespectful, especially to Carla. Not my Carla.
Carla's amazing.
You don't do anything to Carla.
Yeah. Yo, that's somebody I would love to meet. I've never met her. I've never.
My impulse is to be like, I should find her email and about the three of us. I'm like, all of us should like sync up, which is crazy, but maybe I'll do it. Hey, maybe I'll do it.
What if Carla wanted to meet a chef and two random idiots?
And two random comedians she doesn't know. I don't know. She could though. She seems really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, she seems nice, right? Like I
cool.
think she's come a long way though. Like I remember like her competing and like to see her and like have her own show and like it's crazy, like, you know, how far she's come.
Yes.
And I remember and seeing that because that was the first time she competed, right? Because I think she did All Stars as well. And she was like I felt like she was very timid and like but seeing her now, wow, that's crazy. But I do want to say that I know the one that Lauren, am I saying it right? The one that was with did the lamb. She's from San Francisco as well.
Jamie,
I was gonna say Jamie. She's from San Francisco as well.
Oh, cool.
Oh, yeah. Buddies.
I think she's older than I am, so she was like a chef first in San Francisco, and then on our season she was I think what they call the culinary director, so she will kind of put everything together.
Oh, cool.
But I met her there, and then she was like, "Oh, you know, do you know Tracy and this and that?" So it was just like mutual friends, and
cute.
Yeah. So.
Wow, a little reunion here. Course 3, we got something borrowed. Jamie kind of came up with this plan. She's like, Radhika, you're Indian.
This was too crazy.
It was just, the thought is fine. The energy was strange to me.
Yeah, Rika, I don't want
you because you're Indian, and I can say I worked for an Indian chef. I'm like, wait, did you? What is this?
Yes.
It doesn't. It's not a criminal case. They're not gonna like.
Yeah.
So they end up making like Indian spiced. They make Indian spiced lamb on top of carrot puree, and I will just, for the record, I will say it's raita. It is the Top Chef was the first time I learned that people say raita, and I was like, that sounds crazy. Raita and wilted kale with toasted almonds and a smoked paprika oil. That sounds fucking great.
It sounds delicious. Good. Yeah, I will, Rika, not to step on your toes because I'm not Indian and you are, but I will say the thought behind it was wrong.
It was.
It's bad as a white person to other someone like that in that situation where like Radhika is already one of the few people of color. Like it just felt so like grasping at straws, kind of like using Radhika in a way that was bad. I thought.
I will say. I only said that because it seemed like Radhika was like maybe okay with it. If someone did that to me, I would feel very othered. I'd be like, oh, fuck, I better deliver on Indian flavors.
Yeah.
And being used a little bit as a prop. Like, thank God we got the immigrant or the kid of immigrants in our group kind of thing.
Yeah.
That they have a cuisine. It's also the only time anyone has not shat their pants making Indian food on this show. I do feel like people are like, Indian food. I promise we love the show, Rogelio. I know we're dunking on it.
I know we're dunking on this episode. I'm so sorry, but yes, I also think that just one more thing I want to say is that I don't even think that makes sense. We're borrowing from Radhika's culture. Well, then like any of the dishes would be borrowing from anyone's culture. Like it literally.
Like, well, yeah, then Radhika's not borrowing, I guess.
Yes.
It is a goofy logic. It was very odd when Jamie introduced it. She's like, well, because she's Indian. I was like, oh, just
whoa, yeah.
Very strange. Yes, it seemed like Radhika wasn't bothered, but then again, I also do remember her multiple times this season saying she doesn't want to only be known for Indian flavors.
Yes.
And so I rescind my comment and I say, it's odd. Course number 4, something blue. We get Fabio saying his beautiful thing about tell women they're beautiful. Women love to hear they're beautiful. Introduce everything by saying a woman is beautiful.
Wait, I want to say though, did that work? Will it work? Can it work?
Yeah, at home, I was like, whoa.
Yeah,
yeah, that's the thing. He's brilliant. So what they
it does work. Okay.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's the takeaway. Very goofy, very 2009 logic or whatever year it was.
Yeah, it's like when somebody like sees you and your mom, who's like obviously your mom, and they're like, "Are you two sisters?"
Yeah.
And instead of flattering, you're like
95 and you're like 40, whatever.
Yeah, I'm like, we look exactly the same, except she looks 30 years older than me, so she's most likely my mom.
Yeah. Course 4, something blue corn encrusted Chilean sea bass with Swiss chard and corn puree.
This sounds good.
I will say, I tried to Google this. If we have any, photon experts in the chat, Fabio said green and yellow on a light spectrum come out blue. Now, as far as I understand, blue and yellow make green.
Oh, yeah.
Green and yellow, yellow-green. Now, that's just with paints. I don't know if with light spectrum, the way light refracts, blah, 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 prisms. But if somebody is a light expert, please tell me in the chat if green and yellow light on the spectrum come out blue. I'm just curious. At the judges table on the top, we have Team Borrowed and Team Old. And the winner was Ariane. I do find there's a couple interesting points of irony here. Jamie was very convinced she was going to win because it was her idea to make Indian food a thing that was most certainly maybe likely led by Radhika in some way, flavor-wise.
No, Jamie invented Indian food.
And so there's a lot of funny things happening there. And she wins what's basically a George Foreman girl. And then on the bottom.
That's crazy. I was like, wow, that's it? I was like, I think I said, I have one of those.
Yes. Maybe you can speak to us. We talk a lot about prize disparity on this show, where like someone will win like a 1-week all expense paid trip to Sicily and they get to like eat at the nicest restaurants, and then the next episode someone wins like a copy of a cookbook that's used by the judge. So
I know, and she just like cooked 45 lambs
I know.
perfectly, and she gets this like panini press. I'm like, seriously? Like, Jesus Christ, like at least a trip like somewhere, you know what I mean? Like, that's crazy.
It's so funny. So crazy. What a big middle finger. And then on the bottom is Team Blue and Team New. We get some of this mushroom drama, hashtag mushroom drama.
Mushroom drama.
Hashtag mushroom drama, get it trending. And Daniel was eliminated.
Finally.
Yes, finally. I thought this episode was fine. What about you guys?
It was I think it was a lot of fun. I do want to say I wish I could try that carrot puree though.
It looks really good.
It does. And Rika, maybe this is a question for you. What do you think about Vadavan? Because I think that's the curry they used.
That's interesting. So I don't know if I've like had it. It's also possible I have and nobody told me, because that's like the immigrant style cooking of like, what is this? And then they're like, why do you care? Like, okay.
So I think it's It's a French
It's French
mix.
and
Yeah,
right?
in Indian. Yeah.
Yeah, weird.
So, and I think like there's always like that, like, you know, it's not real, you know, spices, or it's not considered a true curry.
Yeah,
would
that's
say.
interesting. I wonder. Yeah, I'm actually gonna Google it right now because it's
Yeah.
from. Where is it from? Maharashtra. Oh, interesting. Because I have family from Pondicherry, which is like a French colonized area. So I thought, I guess they colonized a bunch of places.
Yeah.
Very fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
This episode was fine. The borrowed discourse is certainly very interesting, and I'm sure would be much more updated on a current episode of Top Chef, where there are also people from other cultures more prevalent in general. Like the early seasons are pretty white of this show, and they'll be like, well, I'm cooking Asian food. You're like, cool, what the fuck is Asian food?
From where?
Asia is enormous.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, we're getting some input from the chat that yellow and green are next to each other on the color spectrum. You would probably get yellow green. Bobby was probably getting confused about how yellow and blue make green. You know, inexplicably, 46 women bought it, so whatever.
They all went, oh.
You know what? I'll have salad.
Yeah. They loved it.
That's the ambulance taking me to the hospital.
Yeah. It was so wrong.
My brain broke. Yeah, what any other thoughts on this episode?
I'm just happy Danny went home.
Yeah.
And I am excited, especially in these earlier seasons, once we get to having like less people, because I feel like then people start being a little more creative and it stops being so much just like cooking to get by.
Yeah.
I agree. I think especially like people learn the rules of the show a little bit and like, oh, I don't need to make a trio of tomato. Maybe I'm better off doing one thing with this. And they kind of make it a lot more creative in that way. Yeah. What about you, Rogelio? Did you have any thoughts or big like, oh,
I just seeing the episode of how old it is. It's like, wow, like everybody's so young. There's no gray hairs, you know, like it's like, wow, it's just like, I mean, Padma looks so young. Tom Kalicki looks so young.
They used
Simmons.
to put the ages in the lower thirds. I don't know why they're not doing that, but you see these people, like Daniel was like 26, I think, which is astonishing to me.
I think it's a lie. I think I didn't believe this, but then our friend who works in reality TV was like, every single person in all of reality television lies about their age. And I believe it.
How young do you think we could? I'm going to say I'm 4.
Okay. I'd buy it.
Okay, cool. I'm 4. Yeah. How old do you guys want to be?
I'll be 21. How about that?
Okay,
I can drink.
Yeah.
And I can drive.
Yeah. Okay, good. What about you?
I'll be newborn.
Wow. Okay, cool. So I can kind of teach you the ropes, and then Rogelio buys us
beer.
Incredible. Well, Rogelio, we have a couple like nerdy chef and Top Chef questions for you, if you don't mind us asking.
Yeah, of course.
What is your favorite thing to cook?
Ooh, I love cooking from Mexico. I would say. I think when I started cooking, I always I started in kind of European style restaurants. And I feel like I neglected Mexico for many years just because I mean I ate it. You know, my mother's a great cook. My grandmother was a chef in her own right. You know, she used to cook for school in Mexico and had to plan a menu for kids. And so my mother kind of took that. My mother's a nurse. She's not a chef, but she's an amazing cook. And so I ate a lot of great Mexican food, classic. And then when I started in restaurants, I got so wowed by caviars and lobsters and truffles and just all these amazing produce in Northern California that it took me a decade or more to like realize like, wow, I actually, you know, Mexico has a beautiful history with great food. and and I feel like I neglected it. But I think for that last couple of years, I've been really researching it and love eating it, cooking it. I mean, I love making tortillas, moles, anything that's from Mexico. I love making. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Incredible.
Amy, I think in the chat asked, what would you have cooked for the blue category or the borrowed category? Your choice.
I would have probably cooked something. I mean, I love that he used blue corn.
Yeah.
Like I think he crusted it with blue corn, right? I would have when he said that, I was like, man, it would have been good to do something with masa, like blue corn masa. But I don't think it was like it wasn't a thing back then, you know, like it wasn't anywhere you can find it. But I would have made something with like I would have gone towards Mexico, I would say.
Yeah.
For sure.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Let me see. What is your favorite challenge on the show? It can either be from your season or any other season you've seen.
Ooh, that's a good question. That's a good question. I mean, Restaurant Wars is always fun, right?
There's a lot of debate about Restaurant Wars because it's so intense. It's almost like it's set up for you to fail.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I feel like everything is up to fail. Like it's like it's seriously like it's not. I feel like it's not who makes it the best. I think it's who makes it the least worst. You know, it's because it's. I mean, your nerves are going. You know, everything has to come second nature. There's no planning.
Sure.
So it's like, oh, like you know, like you're always pushed to the limits. So, but yeah, I would say Restaurant Wars is always fun.
Who would you say is the toughest judge or like the scariest judge?
I would say Padma.
Ooh, normally do you have a reason?
I just think she's very intimidating, you know, like very intimidating. I think Tom and Gail are great and they come from heavy restaurants. So I think, but Padma is just like, you know.
Yes.
And she's like, you know, like she feels like the boss, like the one in charge.
Yeah.
So it's just like a little intimidating. So I think for her, for sure, her.
Okay, another Top Chef nerdy question. Any like funny behind the scenes, like fun facts or tidbits from your season?
Yeah, so we were in, so my brother too, right?
Yeah, we love to.
So we were already out, right? And I think it was like final 3 or something like that. And I mean, we were in Aspen, I want to say, and we were waiting. Like this is probably our last week, and we were inside the whole time. So we were supposed to stay indoors, and we got out. Like we escaped. And you're not supposed to do that at all. But we got out, and there was so many things happening in Aspen. There was obviously the Top Chef was filming, and they were doing the finale. Food and Wine was happening, and they were doing like Food and Wine Best New Chefs, and then there was a cochon competition where like a lot of chefs compete for the title of the United States from every city. So there's like 5 cities, and then they compete. And we're like, we're not staying in this hotel. So we get out, and literally we pass through a producer, and we found out this later that we passed through. She didn't say anything, but she did call somebody, right? So we got out and we got back super late, but we enjoyed Aspen. It was so many people. It was amazing. We did find one of the judges at the bar, Graham Elliott.
Yeah.
And we were sitting at the bar, and the bartender was like, "Oh my God, that's Graham Elliott," and we are like, "Oh my God!" And he did see us. He's like, "Hey guys, how you doing?" And we're like, "Oh," he's like, "You know, don't worry about it. I'm not gonna say anything." And so we stayed out late, and then we went back to the hotel. And the next day, before we start filming, Padma's like, "So I heard some of you guys got out last night," and we were like, "But everybody got out. Everybody got out. I think they just kind of let us get out, but we're not supposed to. But oh man, we had so much fun. So much fun. Aspen is amazing.
Putting a bunch of chefs in quarantine basically during the food and wine festival. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
It's wrong.
That's
It's
wrong.
not happening.
Wow. Okay. Follow-up question. We found out, who was it that told us this, that Tom Colicchio doesn't wear socks? Can you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, the rumors are true.
Oh,
Why?
why?
I think, I don't know if it's a superstition or something, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I think I have no idea why. I have no idea.
The man, the
But-
myth, legend, no socks.
Yeah, but I mean, he's amazing to talk to. I mean, he was definitely, you know, giving us stuff like the way he started, the way he, you know, we should take after the show and how to connect the right way. We ever needed anything, reach out, you know, stuff like that. He's off the camera. He's an amazing guy. Like
Wow.
very true chef. So
Chef Sasha
love
Grumman is the one who told us.
Oh yeah, Sasha told us.
Yeah.
We love him. He seems incredible. Honestly, at first I'm kind of like, well, why wouldn't you wear socks? But also I do think it's kind of like a power move. I think a shoe with no sock, if you can hang.
yeah.
If you can hang.
If you can, I
You
can't
can
hang.
If you're uptight
I
about
can hang.
your father.
Yeah, I cannot hang, so I'm not one of the people. But if you can hang, this tells me that Tom has like that he's like not a sweaty man, would be my guess.
Okay. Wow. Add that to us, everyone. Another question we have, as if we could even top the sock question,
Yeah.
is if you have one, what is the like worst disaster of a dish you've ever made?
I would say, I mean, maybe not a dish, but I would say an experience at a restaurant. Like my first, I had to be in my early 20s, like maybe 2021. And it was the first like fine dining Michelin star restaurant that I've ever worked in.
Oh.
And you know, the first like tasting menu format, like stakes are super high. Everything has to be perfect. Every leaf needs to be beautiful. And I remember that the first time that I worked the fish station, I had such a hard time. It was like, oh my God, like I couldn't wait. I just couldn't pull it off. Like if I put something, it would burn. If I, you know, overcook it. And like, it was just, the hardest day of my life. And I still remember it to this day. And, but you come out strong at the end, right? Like it's one of those things that, you know, when you experience like the true art and the true craft of a chef and he's showing you, it's an amazing feeling. It definitely is intense, but you get to see why the attention to detail is so important in those restaurants.
So in that time, did you get in trouble or were you kind of your own worst critic?
I think a little bit of everything. I think I'm my worst critic always. But I think it was an understanding because I was so young, unexperienced, very green. So in a way, they expect that to happen.
Oh, sure.
But you walk away like, oh my, and I couldn't sleep that whole night after that. Like I was like, I can't. And I came back like 2 hours earlier just to get it right. But that's what it takes, you know, to kind of hone your craft and to get better every day is to like come back stronger the next day.
Wow, that's so nice. Yeah. It shows that you like really genuinely wanted to like, you know, be good at cooking, which is so sweet.
I mean, it's one of those things where, you know, back in the day, I mean, not now, I mean, you know, where you're able to work for free. But in return, you get education, right? You get to really take the time to do it, right? Now there's so much labor, you know, labor laws involved and it's kind of illegal. But back then, like, everybody did it. Like everybody worked for free, you know? So.
Wow. Yeah. And what were people doing to survive?
You mean to, well, you won't work for free the whole day. You would get paid a certain amount of hours. For example, you would commit it for 8, maybe 12 or 10, and then the rest you would work for free. But I did it to learn. I did it because I respected the chef.
Sure.
I needed to, it was almost like an externship or, you know, something that I wanted to take because I felt like I needed to learn it, you know? So.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's truly incredible. Oh my God, sorry, two dogs just ran in here. Oh my God. I'm losing my mind. Okay.
It's so funny because we can't see them at all, so it does look like you're just
I know, making it up. Oh my God.
Like something else happened, you're trying to distract all of us, like, oh my God, a dog.
Oh my God, a dog came
ran in here.
Incredible. Rogelio, where can people find you online, or if they're in the San Francisco area?
Yeah, so Luce restaurant, it's south of Market. It's in San Francisco. I grew up in the Napa Valley, so I kind of go back and forth, but the restaurant is in San Francisco. Obviously Northern California. You can find me on Instagram at Chef Rogelio Garcia. And you can kind of keep up with the news, holidays coming up, the new year. There's a lot of plans to kind of host dinners here and keep up with menus and promotions, things like that. So
awesome.
Rogelio just posts like really beautiful, like, I mean, oh my goodness. Like, just, go, I know
avocado I see.
Yeah, right. I don't know why that came out.
Well, we'll remember it forever. He just posts a lot of really beautiful food. Why can't I just want to show you guys? There we go. Like really, really beautiful. So I would, if you're into just like very aesthetic shots of food, also follow him.
Him.
Yeah. It's so the restaurant is it's a tasting menu only restaurant. So it's 8 courses. And it's we do have a wine pairing. Sommelier, the captains or the waiters, and then we have a super talented team of culinarians that are driven to produce the best work they can every day. So
wow, well, it looks absolutely unbelievable.
And Rogelio, I'm getting word from a Bravo producer over here in the Top Chef kitchen.
The Bravo producer is a dog.
He's a really small dog in a pink sweatshirt. You are Top Chef. Whoa.
Yeah, so here's the thing that not a lot of people know. There are 2 ways to become a Top Chef. You can either be on the Bravo reality cooking show Top Chef and win, or you can be on Talk Chef, the YouTube live stream show for charity. And we're going to keep saying that until Bravo tells us to stop saying it.
Absolutely. You know what? An Indian woman is going to tell you you're Top Chef, and that's kind of cool.
There you go. That's all I need.
That's all you need.
Drop the mic.
That's like the show. Yeah.
That's it.
Well, Rogelio, thank you so much for joining us.
Of course. Thank you.
Give him a follow online. If you're in San Fran, check out his restaurant. That tasting menu sounds so good. And tune in next week for another episode.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.